Hey everybody, welcome back to Everyday Journey. Today is January 13th, and as you can see, here's kind of remnants of the past video. I still haven't brought that down here to charge it, that battery. You can watch that video right before this one if you like. I'll put it up in the top. But I haven't brought it down here to charge it because it's been too cold. As you'll see in a second whenever I go outside and do what I'm about to do. Here in Tennessee, we've just gotten about, over the past 3 or 4 days or whatever, over the past 1 day or 2 days or so, we got about somewhere between 3 and 5 inches, I didn't measure it, of snow, and it's been on the ground. It's just starting to melt really well today, and it's somewhat warm today. I think I saw a temperature of like 41, and that's awesome compared to what it's been. So I decided to get out and do something. I still haven't finished the sandbags yet because, well, I don't want to dig whenever I'm having to bust through ice and snow. So dig very much anyway. I don't want to fill the sandbags full of mud. But today what I'm doing is I'm trying to find the water line for my garden. You'll see here in a picture, this is kind of an overhead view, quick drawing or whatever of what I've got to work with here. And I could either get water from my well all the way up to the garden, or better yet, through the garden. I'd have to dig underneath the garden and probably go like 3 feet or so just to make sure I never hit anything if I'm, plowing through there or whatever I do. And or even more, even deeper, just to guarantee I'm not going to hit it, in order to put the water on the other side of it, because my garden is in between where my animals are and where, in the well house. So in order to put the well house or put a spigot on the other side of the garden, I either have to go through it, which would be the shortest distance, straight line distance, or this is kind of me just guessing here, trying to branch off of a line that I have that goes down to my barn, in my workshop. So I don't know exactly where it's at. All I can do is guess. So I've got this place that every time I ride through on a lawnmower in this one spot, it always just like drops down into a small little ditch. And it's that one spot, and every time I go through there, and I really feel it over about 10 or 15, 20 feet maybe, I really feel it there. And my only guess for why that's there is one of two things. Either one, somebody's brought some heavy equipment, driving something heavy through there, and that's one of the tire tracks, except for there's not a second tire track. If there was, then I'd think it was that. So since there's just one, I think it's from the trench that they dug to put water and power down to the barn. And so today I'm going to dig it out. I'm going to see in the general place where I'd like to tee off of that to go over to the garden. I'm going to dig it up and see what I can find. So let's go ahead and go out there, start digging, and then see what we get. Here's my well house. Looking over it, looking straight down toward my barn, I would think that's the direction that that this line is going. And sure enough, the divot that I'm talking about, or the little ditch or whatever, is in that path. So we're going to go ahead and walk out here and see what we can find. So here's my ditch, and basically just walking to where I think is a good place to tee off, to go up to my, in between where my pigs are at, where my chickens are at, where my turkey and my greenhouse is, and where my garden is. This I think is the best place to do it. I'm going to put it right next to the shed, I think. That right there is what I use. It used to be the smokehouse, according to what my neighbors have told me. But for me, I've basically just repurposed it as a garden shed, and it's also a good place to put all the stuff for the animals. Anything I could put in there that I don't care about whether or not moisture gets to it, or whether or not bugs and things like that could get to it, or even animals for that matter. In this area right here where I think is a good place to tee off of this, we'll go ahead and start digging. And hopefully that's what I find, is a pipe in there. I'm pretty sure I probably will. But luckily this is really easy to dig, which is crazy because everywhere else I dig on my property, I find two things. Either one, I find rocks, and sometimes pretty good sized rocks, or two, I find metal. It is crazy how much things I've found on this property. I kind of joke sometimes that the previous owners, they couldn't afford to live here anymore because they couldn't afford to keep their vehicles and equipment with tires because of all the metal that's just left around everywhere. This thing is actually deeper than what I thought it would be. I really am happy to see that I'm digging this deep, because I've found in other places, like the water line that goes to my house is not very deep at all. It's maybe in places anyway, or at least in the place that I dug, it's only about like a foot. So finally, this is somewhere around 2.5 feet or so, 2.5 to 3 feet, something like that. Finally found pipes, and I found two of them, and this makes sense. One of the pipes should be the water, because of course there is a water line that goes down there. But the second is power, because I have power in my shop. I'm just not really sure which is which. So this quick idea I have, I'm going to check and see if maybe running water through it, actually literally having running water through it, hopefully will change the temperature of the pipe. So going down here to the shop, and I'm just going to turn on the water real quick and then run up the hill and see if I can feel a difference in the temperature between the two pipes. Hopefully I can, and then I'll be able to tell which one's the water pipe. Well, I can't tell at all. This thing is basically, they're both the same temperature, and it kind of makes sense a little bit given the water is in the ground, coming up, going through the pipe. Of course it's going to be the same temperature. Yeah, plus it's an insulated pipe. I mean, not insulated, it's plastic, so it's insulating itself. So who knows? So the next thing I can do is just go down to the shop and just dig right there and see if I can tell which one is going into the spigot. Well, I dug here off to the side of it, in between the spigot and the well, and sure enough, there's nothing really here. So digging next to the spigot all the way down so I can see where it maybe elbows off or tees off or whatever it does, and to see which direction it's going. This only makes sense that it's going out towards away from the barn, because really if you're trenching this, you can't do it right next to the barn. So the fact that the spigot's right next to the barn just makes sense that they actually trenched out away from the barn and then put an elbow in to go over to where the spigot's at. All right, so the one that's underneath this other pipe is the one that's actually going to my spigot. So check it real quick, the calipers, just to see what the outside diameter is. And I have some extra pipe over here I'm going to go ahead and go get, and we'll see what size this is, because I'm not going to, without any writing on the pipe, I'm not going to guess. So I get 1.04 inches. I'm going to go over here and find another piece of pipe I have that's the same size. Sure enough, outside diameter of this one pipe is 1.04 or 1.05 inches, and it is 3/4 inch pipe. So now I know my line is 3/4 inch. I'd prefer it to have been the bigger one, because that would actually provided more water and more water pressure. Well, not more water pressure, but more water flowing through. But it makes sense that it's not, because this other wire that's going in, running my shop, I mean, it's got 220. There's no way that would have fit through a 3/4 inch pipe. So thinking back on it, I should have just guessed that would be correct. But again, I don't know how they wire the shop. If they ran a piece of Romex down through there, it would have fit through 3/4. It wouldn't have made sense, but a lot of things I find around this place don't make sense. Well, now there's nothing left to do but go ahead and fill these holes back in. This one here, because the spigot is a farm spigot and it needs to drain, I try to find any bits of dirt here that are actually sand, and put them in first. That way, as the water is draining, it has a place to drain away. So all the rocks that I found, try to put them in there. Try to put them around where the spigot is to kind of stabilize that some, but at the same time make sure it's not going over the pipes, because I don't want this ground as it settles to go and push down on that and crack the pipe. So all the dirt's going around the pipe, the rocks are going off in this one area. Last thing is this one other hole. Go ahead and fill it in. I'd say I can mark it here, but it's not really going to matter. It's wintertime, the grass isn't growing that well, so I'm going to easily be able to see where I need to dig again. But again, it's too cold here to be able to leave these open. If I did, these pipes would freeze and I'd go ahead and be digging again to replace or repair the pipes. This is the pipe I'm dealing with, 3/4 inch PVC. I was really hoping it was going to be some of that black pipe, and I don't know exactly what it's called, but I know that it's used sometimes or a lot often to go down in wells. But 3/4 inch pipe, PVC, I mean, I can work with that. I have several sticks of PVC out here. Hopefully I can use those. This is one of them, but it's a lot shorter. And but 3/4 inch, I wanted it to be inch or inch and a half, but you work with what you got. My choices are right now that I could branch off of the well and run probably 400 feet or so to where I got to go, or I can come off of this 3/4 inch pipe and go up to feeding feeding everything with it. And it should work. Pressure's fine. Should be able to should irrigate everything properly. What I may have to do is actually put, and I most likely will anyway, is actually section off different places so that it's never running very much at one time. And I'm probably going to do that anyway because I don't know what this well is capable of. I've never really pushed it till it ran out of water. And it's been fine for everything that we've got or had going here at the house. Everybody's taking showers and all that stuff, but I don't know what it's going to do when I'm trying to stress it by irrigating the garden. We'll see. Well, hopefully you like this video. As you can see, it's nowhere close to actually having the garden ready, but at the same time, I need to do something. Everything that I can do, I need to go ahead and do now while I can, because that time is coming. It's coming quick. So anyway, that's all I got for now. If you guys got any questions, comments, concerns, any of that stuff, leave it down in the doobly-doos, and I will answer as best I can, whatever questions you may have. Next thing I got to do is kind of order some seeds, because I'm going to need those. The time's coming, and I actually probably should be getting some things planted here soon, at least started anyway in the greenhouse. And then at the same time, I need to get the greenhouse going. So I'm going to have to break out some of the things I've got for that. But anyway, if y'all like the video, like, comment, subscribe, and until next time, y'all take care.